everyone. I am so excited to welcome, well, I'm just going to call her a friend, even though we haven't met in real life, but Miss Erica. I'm really excited for you to learn not only all about her business, but what it has done for you. So, Erica, without
Yeah.
further ado, I want to invite you to Profitable Pursuits.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So glad this worked out.
So, Erica and I, obviously, we talk business and we love that, but we also talk dogs. So, I made sure Pierre was here. Um,
Precious.
So, Erica, can you introduce yourself in case people aren't familiar with your services, what you offer? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, my name is Erica Muddiman. I'm a Pinterest ads expert, Pinterest marketing expert, and I've been in this field for, gosh, going on 5 years now, which is really crazy for me to think about. I was a full-time corporate working mom and I just wanted to change. So I started my business as a side hustle and got really focused on it in 2019, 2020, around the pandemic time, and went full time shortly after that. It didn't take long. I went all in, and I have some courses, and I'm moving into the area of helping other women do the same, start their own Pinterest ads management business, so they can kind of leave the grind behind if that's something that they're looking to do.
I love it. And lately, maybe not lately, but I've been noticing it more and more. You're sharing a lot about how your business has changed your life. And a lot
It
of it's
has.
with flexibility. Can you talk to that a
It,
little bit?
yeah, like I mean, I worked in hospitality sales and marketing and events for nearly 18 years, and you know anything about event planning, like it is a very, very strenuous job. And when you're on site at events, you're 12-hour days, which also means that you're typically away from your family for an extended period of time. And I did it for a long time. I had the opportunity to work my dream hospitality job, but after my first son was born, things shifted a little bit. I wanted to take something that was a little bit more flexible, and I did that job for 6 years, but there was still something itching inside of me that knew that I could do more that I was doing at that company, and something that really gave me full autonomy to be the mom that I wanted to be and have the flexibility I needed for the kids, but also still bring an income. I'm a type A Capricorn. I'm really driven. So I couldn't just sit idle. But I just needed something that would allow me a little bit of work life balance. I used to think that it wasn't even a such thing as work life balance because I had none. But I've been able to find really good alignment, I would say, even in the last 18 months to 2 years, that my business is providing the profit and the financials that my family want and need to have fun, to travel, to do the things that we love. But I'm not, stuck at a desk from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. 5 days a week. So it's given me the flexibility, and it really has changed our life for the better.
So often we talk in this world about how having a profitable business that changes your life. And I think a big component of a profitable business is one that can also give you your time back.
Right.
We
Absolutely.
don't talk about it enough, but so often people step into entrepreneurship and maybe they're getting paid, but they're just an employee in their business.
Right. Right. And I think that was absolutely me in the very beginning because you're so driven. You want to get it off the ground. I wanted to leave my job. And I did work tooth and nail to get that done, to do that. I probably took on too many clients in the beginning. And I remember reaching a point where I was like, this is not why I started this business. I don't have the time. I don't have the flexibility. So about a year ago, what I did is I really looked at the finances of my business. I am a profit first person. I know that you love profit first. And I was looking to where the profit came from within my business. Like what's giving me the most margin right now? And while I was offering a lot of Pinterest marketing packages, organic marketing, ads, and then both, I was doing audits. It was my Pinterest ads clients that was consistently bringing in the most profit for my business. And I realized that they don't take as much of my time as maybe a client that's doing both or doing just solely organic marketing or even creating the once-off strategies and audits here and there. That was just a lot of work for not a lot of benefit, a lot of profit in the end. So I really honed in on just offering Pinterest ads because that brought me the most profit margin and gave me back the most time in my business. And that's really when I felt like the aha light bulb moment go off, because this is what it feels like to have a work-life balance, to feel fully aligned in your business. Because I kept hearing people talking about alignment. Are you aligned in your business? Is it working for you? And I thought, yeah, maybe, but I still wanted more time and a little bit more freedom. My kids are getting older and their activities were growing, and the need to step away a little bit more was also growing. And now I fully have that flexibility. I know exactly how many clients I want to work with and need to work with from a finance perspective, but also my max from a time perspective. And that's where I feel like the alignment has really, really happened, right?
Yeah, I love that you brought this up, and I asked another guest the same question. Do you think when you think of all the uber successful, like Jenna Kutcher or Amy
Yeah.
Porterfield, do you think you can have, I call that like uber success without putting in that initial hustle? Because now we hear them talk about work-life balance and like,
Right.
quite frankly, it's beautiful, but can you have even the business you have today
Yeah.
if you didn't do that in the beginning?
That's such a good question. And I think from the business owners that I know, we've all put in that time.
Yeah.
I do think that you have to be a real good go-getter early on in the beginning. And even as so I'm creating a course right now to help other women become a Pinterest ads manager. And I am reflecting a lot on some of the trainings in there, specifically on the trainings about how to find clients, how to find clients who are going to pay you and sign a lengthy contract. Um, I was doing all of the things that I'm teaching them in the very beginning, all of them. But that helped me get my name out there. That helped me build a referral base. That helped me network, maybe not with people who were going to hire me, but with people who knew people who might hire me. And in the beginning, that's absolutely what helped things take off. So I was doing all of the things at one time. I was doing the hustle. Um, I think that I think you can be uber successful without that, but it's going to take a lot longer, right? So you have to look at like the time that you have available. If I didn't have kids or I didn't have other commitments in life, it might not take as long, but I've had to reconcile a little bit. Like my path is my path, and it might be faster than somebody else. It might be slower than the person next to me, but I know that it, I want to grow it and I want it to go in this direction. But I also know that I have these commitments over here that are really important to me. So I just have to bide my time. And if I want to be Jenna Kutcher or Amy Porterfield one day, I might get there, but it might take me a little longer because I'm not willing to give up this over here.
Yeah, I think it's so important to realize what you want your day and schedule to look like. And
Yeah.
also, to be honest, though, the work that goes into having the flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to, and I did in the very beginning. I remember the early days of COVID. Like I took a leave of absence from my full-time 9 to 5 job because, kids at home, homeschooling, all the things. I couldn't do it. It was really hard. And I had the opportunity to take a leave of absence, but I really just replaced my full-time 9 to 5 job with my new side hustle that I wanted to be my full-time job. I went all in. And even though I was taking a break over here, I went all in and I was still working, over here. But it's about the time that you have available and that you are willing to spend in order to grow it, for sure.
Yeah, and I think piggybacking, I think you can maybe shorten someone else's hustle. So like whatever someone's hustle was, and Amy Porterfield and Jenna,
Yeah.
Erica, you can shorten that if you learn from someone further ahead.
Exactly. And that is what I did early, early on in my journey. I knew that I'd gotten to a certain point on my own, fully on my own. I had 3 or 4 clients. But I'm like, gosh, I can do this. Like I've proven to myself that I can do this. But if I want to take it further, I do need somebody just ahead of me who's going to be able to break it down and shorten the amount of time to help me get even further. And I hired a mentor and she was amazing. And I worked with her for over a year, probably maybe right at a year. And it was probably the best thing that I could have invested in early on in my business, outside of like courses to learn how to do Pinterest marketing and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Ah. I'll leave that note with real quick. I just heard on a podcast episode that you can either learn by spending money or spending your time,
Yeah.
and neither path is wrong. Just choose
No.
what works for you. And if you don't have the dollars to invest, don't
Yeah.
don't put your family at risk. Like
Yeah.
I'm not in the put your family at risk boat, but like
No.
know that there's two paths. You can, quite frankly, everything's on the internet for free.
Exactly.
You just have
Right.
to spend time to find it, or
Yep.
you can spend your money and get it faster.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I talk about that in some of my content with the website example. I thought I needed this perfect website, all this branding in order to officially launch my business. But I also didn't have the money. I wasn't willing to pay somebody to do a website and to do my branding and all this. So I was trying to figure it all out on my own. And I'm not a website person. Like I worked in hospitality for a really long time. I don't know websites. I can pretty much update the basics of mine now, but to get to where my website is now, I had to hire somebody. So I say all that to say, I finally said, I'm got to put this website over here. I don't need a website to start my business, to start to, go down this path to leave my 9 to 5. I need clients. I stopped waiting for everything to be perfect and I just started.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, now I have a couple clients. I have some income. Now I have the money to pay somebody to do this website, to do this branding. Because I knew the longer that I was going to wait to figure it out all on my own, I was going to be delaying finding clients and leaving my job. And that didn't sit well with me. I was like ready to go. So like the fastest way to get there was to just go and to leave perfection behind. Right.
What I find so funny is there's 2 points in there. As I've like started to learn like such baby amounts of Pinterest over the years,
Yeah.
your name, someone recommended you to me. I've
Yeah.
never looked at your website. Um,
Yeah.
I have never, quite frankly, dove through any like formal social media posts or marketing. It
Yeah.
was a referral, someone I
Right.
trusted, who I met on the internet, and they're like, if you want to know anything about Pinterest, this is the woman.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
I
that so
think,
funny?
and quite frankly, I'm starting like a passion project,
Yeah.
like a blog, and someone
Yeah.
said, have you talked to Erica about getting on Pinterest? And I was like,
Yeah.
it's on my checklist. It, I don't even know how like she knows you or whatever, but
Yeah.
when you do the same thing for so long, your name just comes up.
Right. Right. It does. And that's what I plan on telling my students is like, you can't harp on this website. Like, unless you have a traffic plan to get people to your website's just sitting there.
Someone's going,
Nobody's just going to stumble upon it unless you're Amy Porterfield and you have it SEO'd out the wazoo and you know exactly your professionals that are doing all of that. You can build a website, but unless you have a plan to get people there, it's just a website. So the only way to get your name out there is to get your name out there, is to network and to meet people in Facebook groups, online, on Instagram, and that's how I got my name out there early on. And then, like you said, people start referring you to other people, and that's how that whole process begins. Like
yes.
the website doesn't matter. Like I use a services portfolio for like 6 months and it booked me my first 3 clients and they never asked to see a website. They never said, what is your website? I would like to go look at your stuff. Like that has never happened.
No.
So
Well, I love to talk about profit and revenue and making money, but the truth is you can't make money if you don't have that top of the line sales.
right.
So I think I know your answer, but how did you obtain those first couple of clients? What did you do to bring them in?
Yeah. So there are a couple ways initially that worked. Being a total newbie, and like you said, all the information's on the internet. I scoured the internet. I'm like, how can I just find people to work with me? So I created an Upwork profile. And this
Ooh.
was before I really knew I was going to niche into Pinterest. But I created an Upwork profile and was like, what am I good at? I am good at time management. I am good at organization. I've done events. Like these are my skills. And the first person to hire me was somebody that needed help with time management. She just couldn't manage her time and her schedule. And she had a lot going on. She was a business owner and she had a blog and she was doing other things. And I worked with her on two separate occasions to help her with a daily, weekly time management schedule. And that helped me. It helped my Upwork profile because one, I had some work to show finally. And two, it just helped me get my feet wet with working with somebody in the online space. And Upwork is a good place to start if, if you are brand new, you don't have to worry about client contracts. Like they kind of take care of all of that for you. And everything is, you're not going to get left in the dust and that sort of thing. But I hired my first 3 clients on Upwork. And then after that, I started networking and reaching out more, emailing clients, making connections. And then my clients started to come from referral base or from finding me on Instagram or sometimes on Pinterest, wherever. But I still get leads on Upwork and I still get clients from Upwork. Like I would say my longest standing client came from an Upwork lead. And they do organic and ads management with me. And they've worked with me for the last 3.5, 4 years.
I think another thing I want to hone in on, and we briefly talked about this probably months ago. When did we connect? It was
Yeah,
months ago.
it was,
Before.
it was before the summer.
Oh my gosh,
I think,
way
I
longer
think
than.
it was before summer. Yeah,
Wow, time flies.
it
But
does.
you've been doing this forever. Like
Yeah,
you don't ping pong. Like you've been in Pinterest for 5 years.
right. Right. Yeah, almost 5 years.
Do
Right.
you find that people are more successful in whatever they do when they become the expert and they like hone in, or when they're like jumping ship?
1000%. I think niching, however you say it, is really the way to go. And I say that for a couple of reasons because I found it even within my own business. Like I am my own perfect example of niching into one specific area. And now that is Pinterest ads because it was bringing me the most profit. It gives me back the most time and I can be an expert in that. But when I was doing the research initially, when I started my business, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I could be a virtual assistant, a social media manager. And when I started researching those specific disciplines, I realized like, oh my gosh, to be a general virtual assistant, you have to know all of these things. Like there's a lot that you might need to know. And a general social media manager, I tried to learn the ins and outs of Facebook and Instagram and at the time Twitter. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so much information. It's going to take me forever to learn everything that I need to know about all of the platforms. And that's going to delay me making money and finding clients. And then when I was doing my social media research, I stumbled upon this free Skillshare course on Pinterest. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a marketing platform. It was totally eye opening. And that's when I realized that I wanted to niche into Pinterest because you can know a little about a lot, or you can know a lot about a little. And I found that the clients that I work with mostly, almost always, want the Pinterest specific expert person if that is what they are looking for. They have, some of them have worked with digital advertising specialists, and they may know a little bit about Pinterest, maybe be experts in Facebook ads, but they try to run a Pinterest strategy that's similar and it doesn't work because they're totally different platforms. Like they work completely differently. So a lot of my clients want that that person who is specifically knowledgeable in that particular area rather than hiring a generalist. Don't get me wrong, there's a space for that too, for sure. And the people who can do all of the platforms, like I bow down to you because it is a lot to know and it's a lot of work, but I like being an expert in just the one thing, the one field.
Yeah, I think from an outsider's view, the people, and someone who's in a lot of financials, the people who are making more money and ultimately more profit, they
Yeah.
master what they do and they
Right.
don't go after the shiny object all the time.
Right. Right. I've definitely been guilty of like reaching over here and trying to do this and over here and trying to do that. But when it boils down to it, you have to look at like, where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
And my first mentor told me, like, I wanted to do all of these things that I thought were going to bring revenue in. And she was like, look, at the end of the day, the most revenue that you get is from client work, that you can create a digital product and you can do this and you can set up a storefront and all this, but like, this is where your money is coming from. That's where you need to focus your energy. I'm like, that makes so much sense. You're right.
And I almost like to say when it gets boring, that means you're good and keep going.
Right. Exactly. No, I fully agree. I fully agree.
If you had to give the audience one tip that is not mindset, because everyone wants to say mindset,
Oh, yeah.
where they could really have a profitable business, what would it be?
Yeah. This is easy. You need to read Profit First. Like that book was eye-opening to me. And I have from the beginning, I mean, my first mentor that I worked with said, this is how you manage your money. And that's what she taught me. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I have done that style money management, financial management in my business since day one. And that is what has helped me be profitable. I'm all for a budget. I love a budget anyway. So I'm good at that, but understanding the profit and how it works and where it comes from and how to save it and then how to use it, how to save for your taxes and doing all of that you do need to focus on that. You cannot forget about it. But I think Profit First is such a good, it's just a good system to use for small business entrepreneurs. But I think it's important too if you want to grow and scale. Like hearing some of the stories in that book is crazy. But I think the overall tip here is just like know your numbers.
Yeah.
Focus on your understand where the money is coming from, where it's going, if it's going in the wrong places, and yeah, focus on your finances. Don't ignore them. Don't ignore the numbers.
I love when you focus on what brings you in the most money and then you double down on that. Like
Mhm.
your results just speak for themselves.
Right. Absolutely.
And
No,
then
I
you
agree.
get more referrals because you're the expert. Your name gets out there more often without you
Yeah.
having to put in the time and the hours that you do in the beginning to obtain that
Yeah.
authority.
Yeah. It's just like I hear it all the time, simplify to scale. And it really is true. Like the more simple your business is, the easier it's going to be to grow it. Like, and I think that was what I realized was having an issue with. I had all of these packages and I was trying to market all of these packages and my messaging was all over the place because I was talking to too many people. But once
Yeah.
I narrowed down the one package, I kept it simple and I then knew who I was talking to and where my messaging needed to go. And that's when all of that started to take off, honestly. So I love the acronym, keep it simple, sister kiss.
Yeah.
You just have to keep it simple sometimes. We try as business owners, I think, to make things so complex and more difficult than they need to be. But when you look at it and just keeping it simple, I think that's where a lot of the balance comes from too.
For sure. I love to end with this question. I'm obsessed with the internet. I think it gives you an
Yeah.
opportunity to meet people you wouldn't typically meet. We will be meeting in real life because now we live not that far away from each other.
Yes, it is happening. It is happening.
Um, but it also gives you an opportunity to see what someone else has done or what their goals are and gives you almost like permission to dream bigger. So
Right.
if you're cool with sharing, what is like your next big dream, big goal? What's the next like big thing you're working towards?
From like a business standpoint, personal, like any of the above.
Like what is like the big thing on your heart that you hope your either business can do for you or you want to do in your business or
Yeah.
like what's the next big goal?
So I have two boys. My family and I are embarking on this tour to see all 30 Major League Baseball parks.
That's so cool.
And we have checked off three. We live near one, so we go to that one a lot. But we've checked off three so far. We surprised our boys with a trip to New York to the Mets baseball stadium last year. And that was such like I mean, not a bucket list. I've been to New York, but for me to take them and like show them all the things I love about New York City and then to share the baseball part of it with them too was amazing. So my goal is, I mean, if we do one a year, it's going to take us a while. So we've got to start checking off multiple per year. So I want to be able this year to take them to at least 2 baseball stadiums, maybe 3. So that's my big goal, is to allow my business to support those trips. So fingers
I
crossed.
freaking love that. Um, so much, except for the fact that you went to the Mets and not to the Yankees.
I know,
New
I know.
Yorker.
I wish we could have checked off both. So we're Braves fans, and we're trying to see the Braves play in all of the stadiums, which is also going to make it more difficult. Like, because we could
Ah,
easily knock off multiple at once if we just don't worry about that part of it. But we want to see our Braves,
I
so
love
it's
that.
going to take us a little longer.
It really brings it back to like what the purpose is of all this. If your business
Yes,
is funding your life, what the heck is the point?
exactly. And that is where I think I woke up one morning and I'm like, this is, I mean, I'm working as much as I was before. And while it's mine and I have more joy and more love for it, it was too much. Right. So it's like, this is not why I didn't start this business, to be just as stressed out as I was before, and to never be home, or to always be at my computer and not be able to leave it like before. It was just the same, but a different location and a different, work task. But like, that's not why I started this. I have to go back to my why, and I have to let that lead me in the direction I want to go.
And use those numbers to make it a reality.
Absolutely. It's all
Yeah,
about the numbers.
for sure. Where can people follow along? We're going to link it all down below, but where can people find you, find out more about your ad services for Pinterest, get all those tips?
Yeah. So I have a website. But we talked about websites. It's summitvirtualsolutions.com. I have a blog on my website, and there's a lot of great Pinterest marketing resources, both ads and organic, on the blog. And I am on Instagram at Summit Virtual Solutions. I'm also on TikTok at Summit Virtual Solutions. Same thing. That's kind of the places that I hang out the most.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today on Profitable Pursuits.
Thank you for having me.